Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If everyone could kindly take a seat, we'd like to get started. Thank you all for coming this evening. This is a great opportunity through Community Connections to meet our department heads and their staff. So I highly encourage our residents that came out tonight, excuse me, I feel like I ran up a mountain. Please meet with the individual departments if you have any particular questions like snow plowing, health issues, Department of Aging. We have 22 different departments and agencies that are represented tonight. So I'd like to also thank department heads and their staff for participating. And to move forward, I'd like to introduce our county executive, Steve Shue.
Hi everybody. Thank you for taking the time to come to our Community Connections meeting, where each of you will have an opportunity to speak directly with top departmental officials here in our county. I've noticed that we have some Marines present. Maybe Mr. Dixon can come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd also like to make some quick introductions. Our Chief Administrative Officer is here this evening, Mark Hartzell. Councilman Jerry Walker is back there. Councilman Pete Smith, who represents this community, is right there as well. And tonight is an example of the county government really making the effort to reach out to the community and be engaged with the people we serve. A diverse, inclusive government is a critical component of our overall mission as a county government to make Anne Arundel County the best place to live, work, and start a business in the state of Maryland. We've made it a goal of our administration to make sure that in all of our appointments and all of our work that we look like our county and that we engage our citizens through transparency, diversity, and community engagement. We can ensure that we are empowering the citizens of this county in each and every corner of it. Transparency. Since coming into office, we've instituted a number of policies that are designed to make information more available to you, to the citizens. Demographic data, for example. We are now making demographic data available on each and every county department on our website. So all you have to do is go to the county website, look up any department that you're interested in, and you'll find out the composition of that department. We've also been working with the Office of Personnel to enable citizens to do that, and I want to thank their efforts for making that happen. We're also making available for the first time, in a very user-friendly way, use of force complaints. That's part of a very broad national discussion that's going on in this country today, and we wanted to make sure that that information was readily available to each of you. We've also been building up our efforts with the community relations councils throughout the council to build on that dialogue that we've always enjoyed between our police officers and our citizens here in the county. Diversity is a very important objective for our county. As I said, we want our county, through its appointment process, to look like the citizens of this county at each and every level. And when I talk about diversity, I don't just mean racial diversity. I mean diversity in terms of geographic diversity, gender diversity, ideological diversity, every aspect. At this point, I've made, I think, about 45 cabinet appointments, and 25% of those cabinet appointees are minorities, 15% of which are African American. In terms of gender, 35% of our cabinet is female, many of whom are here tonight. And in terms of party affiliation, about 25% of our cabinet are unaffiliated, 20% are Democrats, and 55% are Republicans. Now, beyond the cabinet, we also, as a county, operate 36 different boards and commissions. These boards and commissions are a wonderful opportunity for citizens to be involved with the county on a volunteer basis and to be engaged with our efforts. At this point, I've made 197 appointments to boards and commissions, and a concerted effort's been made to make sure that those appointees represent our county. At this point, 20% of those are minorities, and 16% of which are African American. In terms of gender, 38% of our boards and commissions are female. And from an ideological perspective, based on party affiliation, 37% of the board's membership are Democrats, 39% are Republicans, so almost the same, which is how our county is, and 22% are unaffiliated. So taken together, our cabinet and our boards and commissions look like Anne Arundel County and represent every perspective, point of view, and geographic point in our county. In terms of community engagement, we have a very strong commitment to making sure that we are engaged with the citizenry and are transparent about our activities. And events like this are very much part of that. We've conducted, since coming into office a little over a year ago, numerous town halls. Hopefully you guys have had an opportunity to attend some of those. Those town halls have included such topics as the budget, heroin, police community relations, and others. These events have allowed literally thousands of citizens at this point to be heard directly by their county government, and they've been very instrumental in helping us shape policy, solve problems within the community, and empowering everyday citizens. Beyond that, we've conducted at least a dozen community roundtables where we sit down with small groups of citizens and talk about specific issues ranging from, you name it, the environment, education, the permitting process, that's everybody's favorite topic. And from these meetings, we are helping address a number of long-standing problems and improve the quality of the services we provide. So, taken together, transparency, diversity, and community engagement are helping make our county a better place. And I feel good about our progress so far. And I want to encourage everyone here tonight to let us know how we can do better and where we can improve. So from your feedback, we can chart a better course for our county and for those we serve. And I want to thank you again for taking the time to be here. The fact that you've taken the time out of your busy schedules to be here and be involved means that you're the engaged citizens. You're the strength of the community, and I appreciate that you've taken the time to be here. So have a great evening. I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful department heads and let you hear from each of them regarding their activities. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening. My name is Pam Jordan. I'm the director of the Department of Aging and Disabilities, and welcome to Brooklyn Park. Brooklyn Park is home of one of our favorite senior centers, the Brooklyn Park Senior Center. And just hold that thought. I have some good news about that center towards the end of my remarks. The Department of Aging and Disabilities serves older adults, adults with disabilities, and caregivers. We have very robust programs to serve all three of those groups, and who isn't a caregiver, right? So if we have some great programming, 21 programs in 24 different locations throughout Anne Arundel County every day, every weekday to serve your needs. The mission of the department, to help people stay in their homes in the least restrictive environment for as long as one can live safely and with dignity. So it is not our mission to try to direct you or your loved ones into a nursing home environment. You would be amazed at the resources and supports we have available to you to help you stay where you want to be. Who would like to just stay in their own home, right? Yes. So I hope you'll take some time this evening to stop back and see our amazing staff. Could the staff from the Department of Aging and Disabilities and our volunteers raise their hands? Thank you all. Thank you for coming out this evening after a long day. We all appreciate that. I do want to invite you to some key events that are coming up in the department. Remember, I said we serve older adults, adults with disabilities, and caregivers. Our Older Americans Month celebration is coming up on May 6th at Kinder Farm Park. We're going to be having a run, a walk, and a bike trail. We're going to ride the trail along with a lot of healthful activities in partnership with many of my colleagues up here. So I hope you'll join us for that, and look on our website, look on the county's website for more information, or see us at the table. Second big event coming up, Artists Without Limits. April 21st, we'll be doing that in the council chambers down at the Arundel Center, where artists with disabilities throughout Anne Arundel County will be featuring their art and be recognized by the citizens of this county and the administration. And finally, we have a caregivers conference, a very wonderful event coming up out at the Arundel Mills, at a hotel near Arundel Mills. That is April 16th. And I encourage you, if you are a caregiver, to please tune into our caregiver program, because if you're not healthy, how can you help your loved ones? So we want to support you. So I told you to hold your thought about the Brooklyn Park Senior Center, and I'm very pleased to share with you that since last year, we have made tremendous progress with the support of the leadership and the county executive, and the expansion of the Brooklyn Park Senior Center is in the proposed capital budget at this point, and of course there is a process, and we're working through that process. But I'd like to thank the county executive, the budget office, and everyone who's been involved in getting it to this point. So we look forward to next steps. So that concludes my remarks. I'll be in the back if you have any questions. At this time, I'd like to introduce my colleague from the fire department, Chief Alan Graves. Please join me in a warm welcome.
Well, good evening. I'm going to take advantage of my time here to kind of fill you in on one of the things about everybody in the fire department. One of the things that we are, the many jobs that we are, is that we're public fire educators. So I'm going to take my time to do a little bit of a lesson. 2015 for us, for the county, was a tragic year for fire deaths. We had 12 deaths total in the county, and 4 of those deaths occurred here in North County. And one of the things that we found that's a common thread between a lot of those deaths is the presence, whether there was a smoke alarm present and whether that smoke alarm was working. So what I'd like to do is take a little bit of my time and talk about that with you. The importance of a working smoke alarm can't be understated. In the United States, every day, 1,500 homes catch fire. Each year, 4,500 people die in residential fires, and over 280,000 people are injured. 6 of the 12 fire fatalities in Anne Arundel County last year happened in homes that either did not have a smoke detector or they had smoke detectors that weren't working. A majority of those deaths happen at nighttime, and we all know that our senses are dulled at night, and if you've been there and you're exposed to the smoke, that also decreases your ability to respond. So it makes it difficult, even if you wake up, for you to properly rescue yourself. Roughly 3 out of 5 fire deaths happen in homes without smoke detectors or alarms. So one of the things you could do to prevent dying in a fire is have a smoke detector. It's a simple thing. So where should you have your smoke detectors? You should install them inside every bedroom, outside of each of your sleeping areas, and on every level of the home. And also, don't forget about your basement. A lot of times basements aren't used as sleeping areas, but they are used for utilities and storage, and those are places where fires often occur. If you have a large home, just be sure that you have extra smoke alarms, because one on each level may not be sufficient. If you have far reaches of the home, you want to make sure that you're alerted if something occurs in those areas. It's best to have the interconnected smoke detectors. We all know those are the kind when one detector goes off, they all go off and alert you. You want to make sure that you test your smoke alarms once a month. It's pretty simple to test them. They'll have a test button on them. You just press the button, you hear it chirp, and you know that it's working. One thing I ask though, smoke alarms? So then it has a hush feature. So you know that smoke alarms are generally installed on ceilings or upper levels of walls, so a lot of times it's hard to reach. So the one thing I ask you is try not to do the slide the chair up and climb up on the chair and try to balance on the chair and hit the button. Try to look for a broomstick or something like that where you can use it so you can press the button using a broomstick. That way you don't risk falling and you can take care of that. If you're somebody that's hard of hearing or you're deaf, there are special alarms that you can get, smoke alarms, for people that are hard of hearing. We issue one that has a device that vibrates the bed. So if you're asleep, the alarm will vibrate the bed and wake you up so you know that something's happening. You should replace your smoke alarms every 10 years. They may appear to work okay. You can go up and test the test button, but just think about the sensor it's inside. It's sensing the air for 10 years. It's about time to replace it, so it'd be time to get that. When you do replace it, the newer detectors that are coming out have 10-year batteries in them, and they're sealed inside. So you always know that it's working. It also has a feature on it, has a hush feature. And we've all had the experience where we're cooking in the kitchen and it sets the alarm off. Sometimes it sets the alarm off because you burned something, and it's supposed to do that. The other time it's just that, circumstances are there that it's detecting some combustion. What happens in the older detectors is you either pull the battery out of it so it stops making the noise, or you take the whole detector down and you put it somewhere. And you have good intentions. You're always going to put the battery back in. You're always going to install it back in. But a lot of times people forget that. That's one of the causes of our forgotten or non-working smoke alarms. So with the hush feature, then you can, when it goes off, you push the button, it quiets down, and for a period of time, you're okay, and then it automatically starts back up again. You don't have to remember to do it again. So those were really, in 2013, Maryland law came out and said that you needed 10-year sealed battery, smoke detectors, and the hush feature, taking care of those two issues. If you have the older style with the batteries in it, and they're less than 10 years old, you can continue to use those. Those aren't a problem. Just when you replace them, look for the 10-year ones. You might be wondering how much they cost. The newer ones with the 10-year batteries are about $25. You can find them cheaper in other places, so take a look at that. If you can't afford your own smoke alarms, we have a number, and we have handouts over on the side. Just come by and pick those up. And if you contact us, we can provide you with smoke alarms. We'll also send the fire department out to install them for you. But there's also a number you can call and ask any questions. So that's all that I have. Please stop by and see our table and ask us any questions you have about the fire department. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Chan from the health department as your next speaker. Thanks.
Thank you, Chief Graves. Good evening, everyone. My name is Junlene Chan. I'm the health officer with the Anne Arundel County Department of Health, and I'm really glad to be joining you tonight and wanted to thank each and every one of you for coming out and spending your evening with us to learn more about how county services can better serve you. The Department of Health has a number of services and resources available to all the residents of Anne Arundel County to assist with questions about access to health care, substance use treatment, immunizations, cancer screening, cancer prevention, and chronic disease prevention. All of those things are accessible to all of us here who live in this county. I also wanted to mention, we also I personally chair the Healthy Anne Arundel Coalition, which is a coalition of county agencies, community organizations, businesses, the hospitals, and many other members of the county who are working together to promote a healthier Anne Arundel County. I wanted to mention that we have in April coming up Healthy Anne Arundel Month. And the purpose of Healthy Anne Arundel Month is to engage every single person as much as we can in the county to come together to promote health in our sphere of influence, whether it's in your family, in your church, in your community group, in your community association. We certainly encourage every single one of you to think about ways that you can highlight the importance of health and wellness in your community. I encourage you to go to healthyannearundel.org, our website, for ideas and more information about events that we're planning throughout the month of April, happening throughout the county to recognize and commemorate Healthy Anne Arundel Month. And I know that our kickoff is going to be the first Saturday of April down at the Farmers Market in Riva Road, and I believe County Executive Shue will be there along with lots of other members of the community, so certainly encourage you to come out and enjoy some of the goods of our local farmers and also to help us celebrate Healthy Anne Arundel Month. I did, however, want to focus some of my remarks on the particular work in the Department of Health in our Environmental Health Bureau, and in particular our Housing and Food Protection Program. In that program, we have environmental health specialists who work with the community, with neighbors, with residents to enforce our property maintenance code section of the county code. And so in that section are areas that address things like sewer, septic overflows, so sewage overflows, trash overflows, rodents, abandoned pools, swimming pools, things of that nature. And so it is a complaint-driven process. And so I certainly wanted to educate the community about that, that if you see a home in your community that's being neglected, or that you see a stagnant or abandoned pool, or potentially rats in the yard, that is a call to the Department of Health to investigate and to see if we can work with the homeowner to remedy that situation. And we're here to work with the community as much as we can, using the tools that we have under the Property Maintenance Code to assist in the improvement of the community. You can call the Department of Health during the weekdays at 410-222-7364, and someone should always be picking up that line, or alternatively you can go to our website at aahealth.org and go to environmental health and housing, and there is an online complaint form that you can fill out and submit via our website. So any of those locations you can certainly submit a complaint. For emergency situations such as a sewage overflow, we go out within 24 hours. If it's a non-emergency complaint, we will address and at least go out within 7 business days. If you have questions about it, feel free to contact us. My staff are in the back there, and so raise your hand. So feel free to go out and ask questions. We'll be here all evening, and so thank you so much, and if you have any questions, I'll be around as well. I would like to now introduce Mr. Dan Kane. He is the Director of the Department of Inspections and Permits.
Good evening, Dan Kane, Inspections and Permits. We were asked to be brief, and I believe that you should not only meet a goal, but you should exceed it, so I'm very, very brief. True to our name, Inspections and Permits, we process and review building permits and grading permits, and then following that, we inspect them. We're a very simple group. We also enforce zoning enforcement, and zoning enforcement looks at things like untagged vehicles, junk and debris, chickens in backyards, and things of that nature. So we have a couple of people, staff back here at the table, and any questions or anything you want to talk about, please stop by. Like I said, I'm going to keep it very brief. For some reason, my booth is surrounded by police. So on that note, I'd like to introduce Chief Altamari.
You're allowed to push the cops out of the way, folks. Good evening. I am Tim Altamari. It's my honor and privilege to be the Chief of Police for Anne Arundel County. I have 5 minutes allotted, so I won't ask for a full minute, but I will ask us to bow our heads and either pray or spend a moment in silence, if you choose not to, for Officer Jakai Colson from the Prince George's County Police Department, who gave his life in the service of his community this past weekend. Thank you. So, on the agenda tonight, I've been asked to speak about bike patrol and about crime prevention. Both very important parts of the police department. Both are represented here tonight, although as usual, the bike patrol cops in the back of the room are carrying the water for crime prevention, and they're here. So as you look around the room, you'll see folks spread out. We have recruiters here tonight. We have crime prevention here tonight, and we have folks from our mobile crisis/crisis intervention team who help go out into the community and keep people healthy as it relates to their mental health issues. So starting off with bike patrol, why is it important? Why is it worth me talking about here tonight, particularly in Brooklyn Park? And I see all my old friends up here from Brooklyn Park. Miss Sharon, who's your favorite captain ever at Northern District? That should be me. So why is bike patrol so important to Brooklyn Park? You guys know that we have some very unique challenges in North County as it relates to the rest of the county. Some of that comes from our proximity to Baltimore. Some of it arises because of that proximity to Baltimore, we have a disproportionate impact from heroin up here as it relates to the rest of the county. Parts of it is that because of the two aforementioned things, we have more gang presence up here than in other parts of the county. The beautiful thing about Brooklyn Park, and you've heard me say it many times, is that we have some of the best partners in the fight against crime against disorder in the whole county in Brooklyn Park. And despite all the challenges we face together, Brooklyn Park stays in the struggle with us lockstep. We greatly appreciate it. So as the district commander in Northern District, Bike Patrol was really integral for me to get out there and get good stuff done in the community. I'll tell you why it works is it's quiet. These guys can get up on bad guys doing bad things very stealthily and very quickly. They ride those bikes a lot faster than most bad guys can run. They are able to strategize and split up and trap people. So the bike presents a lot of unique gifts when you compare it to the patrol car, and it's a pretty important piece of policing in 2016 in America. If you'd have asked me 15, 16 years ago, I'd have told you that we had 6 bike patrol cops full-time. That means when they came to work every day, they went out on bikes in communities, fought crime and disorder, helped people, and the beauty of the bike from a public relations standpoint is when you see a guy in shorts, you're going to laugh at him. So people always come up and talk to them more than they do in cruisers. They look much more approachable because if you face facts, the uniform is a softer appearing uniform. And they get a lot more intelligence that way out of the community. So bike patrol is very important for all those reasons I just discussed. We're down to 2 full-time bike cops in the entire county. If you look in the back there, Dominic and Cam are back there in the bike patrol uniforms. As it relates to full-time, that's it, and they do a great job. So, the district commander for Northern, Tommy Coleman, who's standing in the back, the very large fellow with a bald head, has extra bikes. So we put cops out on bikes right about now in the year. Definitely by May, you'll start to see Dominic and Cam get more help from the Tactical Patrol Unit who was here tonight, from extra officers on the shifts when we have them, which doesn't happen all the time. So you'll start to see each district commander use his organic officers to the district to a better effect, putting them out on bikes. But I will tell you that Mr. Shue has committed to helping this police department, and our county council has committed to helping this police department grow in a sustained way over the course of years moving forward. So as we move forward, where I'd like to get us is where we build bike patrol back up, and where each district commander maybe has an organic bike patrol function within his districts. I'd like to get us to 2 at some point for each district commander, and then as time moves on, if we get lucky, we may get up to 4 or 6 per district, but I think that's a few years down the road. Having said that, I will tell you that when it relates to the fight against crime and disorder, Dominic and Cam spend a large majority of their time in North County between Glen Burnie and the Baltimore City line. So Brooklyn Park is right in the middle of it. You will see them out there this summer. Please say hello, interact with them, and as we move forward into the future, I'll say once again, we'll get more folks out on bikes. Let's talk about crime prevention. Crime prevention is both a paradigm, a mental mindset, and a unit on the police department. Our crime prevention folks are responsible for educating community members in how to best help us keep the crime rate down and keep the neighborhoods safer, which makes them more viable for everybody. Our crime prevention folks do things like come out and give you residential or commercial security surveys, teach classes on crime prevention, look at environmental factors that could affect the safety of properties, things like that, and they do it all the time. One of the great things that we've done recently is the county and the city police, Annapolis City Police, partnered to put together a Houses of Warship Protection series that really reached out to an interfaith community that helped keep our churches, synagogues, mosques, houses of worship amongst all faiths safer in the community. And we reached out to well over 40 congregations in the county and well over 100 people to try to get that message out that the police are there for them, even in their houses of worship. And we really had some great success with that through the wintertime. As we move forward, I will tell you, if you're a community leader here, anytime you want a cop from either our crime prevention section or from the district at a community meeting, a church event, a school event, or any other thing that builds our community bridges and makes us stronger as a group, we will have cops there for you. The answers are in the room tonight for you to ask those questions. I beg you to do it. Thank you. Have a safe night.
Oh, and I forgot to introduce Chris Fitness, the Director of Public Works, for which I apologize.
No problem, Chief. I will do the same to you, Rick. So, thank you for coming out and spending your evening with us tonight. And typically, I'm sure that people that come out spend evenings aren't coming out to tell us what a great job we're doing, how wonderful we are. You're here to ask questions, you have concerns, you have issues, and that's what we're here to respond to. And I've got a full complement of professionals from Public Works here in the back. If you could raise your hand, Public Works, Team Public Works. We're all here to help answer questions you may have. And these can vary from our roadways, our highway maintenance and operations, our water and sewer operations, our environmental restoration programs, and our solid waste programs. A couple of things that I was asked to respond to or speak to tonight, and I have apparently the largest agenda. I don't know, I guess so. Glad you all came out. Hazardous household waste pickups. We have those. We have 6 a year at our various at our 3 recycling centers, 2 at each of the locations. The closest here is Dover Road, and so again, we typically spread them out in spring, summer, and early fall. So we're getting 6 in throughout half of that year. At the time, probably where most of you are cleaning out your basements and attics and garages and things like that. And we encourage you to visit the recycling centers to drop off those hazardous wastes. Next one is scheduled for April 9th at the Millersville Landfill Recycling Center, and then we'll have one in June, on June 11th, at the Dover Road facility. Roads. One of the things that the county executive, we were very fortunate to have the county executive add a significant investment to our road resurfacing program last year. We've historically spent $17 million a year resurfacing our road infrastructure. That's a lot of money, but if you consider that we have over 6,000 roads, 3,900 lane miles, and a backlog of road deterioration that equates to about $125 million, it's going to take a while to burn off that backlog. We've got, the county executive added $9 million to our budget last year, so we've elevated our investment to close to $26 million annually. And we expect, our plan is that we'll be able to increase our road resurfacing from 34 miles a year up to over 60, 65. And surface treatment is going to go from 55 miles to over 100. So we're excited that we're going to be able to actually make a significant dent, and we're hopeful that we can continue that momentum as we move forward. Snow plowing, does everybody remember the blizzard? And I'm sure you'll have some questions about that, and we can answer those questions about how we prioritize our program for addressing the triage of going to the arterial roads, down to the collectors, down to the local roads, in that order as we're confronting a storm of that event, of that size. So we can answer any questions you have on that. And as well, on the road repaving, we have the resource that if you want to ask us your road, we can look it up and tell you what year you're in for planned resurfacing. Environmental restoration, that's another big, and some of the things I'm hitting on here are, the county executive came on with a 5-point plan, and really we're hitting 3 of them here tonight in my notes here, and that's the investment in the environment that we're making, the investment in responsiveness to the community, responsiveness to citizen concerns, and also just a fee and tax reduction. One of the things that we've done in our utility program is cut the utility rate, the usage rate, as well as hookup fees for new development. So those are major initiatives that we're working on, and we're confident that it's going to make a significant improvement in the economic opportunities of the county. And the other thing I want to, on the environmental restoration, I just wanted to focus on the fact that we've been able to complete over 55 water quality projects in the last couple of years, over 100, or actually it's over 200 storm drain culvert projects. That's replacing failing infrastructure. And we have over 200 more on the way. So we've got a lot done, and we've got a lot more in the pipeline. And then finally, on that environmental theme, one of the biggest single largest environmental project that we've got on the books, and we're going to complete this year, is upgrades to the Cox Creek wastewater treatment plant, which is up by the Brandon Shores power plant. It's in your neighborhood. We're investing over $120 million in that facility. It's the oldest and the largest wastewater treatment plant in Anne Arundel County, and it's going to become the single largest pollutant reducer and be equipped with the most advanced technology that the county has in any of its treatment plants. We're really proud of that. And at the end of this year is when we're going to flip the switch and be up and running on that new plant. And finally, I did want to make a mention. Not a day goes by we read in the news, hear in the news about Flint, Michigan, and some of the challenges that they're confronting with their water system. And I can assure you that Anne Arundel County's water system is safe, and it's reliable, and it's something that we take a lot of pride in producing the water that we deliver to you as the customers. And it doesn't come cheap, and it doesn't come easy, but it is something that we hold very near and dear to our heart in Public Works. We are, I think, very much where the rubber hits the road, delivering services to the community, to the citizens, and that's one that we take very seriously in what we do. And that's really all documented. Every year we put out a consumer confidence report. It goes into your bill once a year, and we take great pride in the fact that we always get an A+. We haven't had exceedances or we haven't exceeded any of the contaminant levels. We're very, very confident in the water that we're delivering, and we should be proud that we have a very competent professional staff. So, and again, so I just want to wrap it up. Any questions on any of the things I just touched on, we're happy to go into more detail in the back. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rick Anthony, the Director of the Department of Fun.
They keep telling me that, so I'm waiting for that fun to start real quick. But thank you again for having me tonight, and I just want to kind of just thank all of my contemporaries up here. I can tell you that we have a fantastic team. The county executive has done a great job, and I can tell you also that everyone up here is very passionate about the services that they provide to you, including myself. I have a very large constituency, everything from youth and adult sports to environmentalists that are very passionate about their pet projects. One of the ones that I kind of want to talk about today is water access. For those of you who have been really keeping in touch with what's going on here in the county, Anne Arundel County has 533 miles of shoreline. And when you really do the math, especially compared to some of the other counties, we have the most citizens with the most shoreline with the least amount of access to that water. And just to give you a little example, our county, we will be opening up our first boat ramp in the next month, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But it is actually the first county-owned boat ramp, and you compare it to our neighbors of Queen Anne's County, who has about 10 to 11 ramps and landings. So that gives you some idea of how far we are behind. So I am thankful for our county executive who is supportive. He actually introduced 3 new initiatives that will go a long way in improving our water access. I just touched on the boat ramp initiative. We are celebrating after 7 or 6 long years of the boat ramp opening up at Fort Smallwood. And it was called the Taj Mahal, but I need to tell you the rest of the boat ramps will not be called the Taj Mahal. We are looking at providing simple access, things that are cost effective throughout the county. There is a study going on right now. I do have a map back there that will kind of outline some of the areas that we're looking at, not just for ramps, but some significant improvements. One of the other things that the county executive started, this new initiative, was we have a water access fund now that we can count on, and thank you again for our county councilman for supporting that in the budget, but we can count on accounts in our funding every year that will go strictly to improve water access. This year we're looking to make improvements at Beechwood, Homeport Farm, and Bakken, and we will continue to look at sites in the county to continue to make those improvements to get you out there into our parks and into our waterways. I'll be in the back if there's any questions, and at this time, I would like to introduce Director of Social Services, Carnitra White.
Good afternoon, everyone, or it's evening now, right? It's dark outside. Good evening, everyone. I'm Carnitra White, the Director of the Department of Social Services here in Anne Arundel County, and thank you for having me this evening. So I'll tell you a little bit about social services and what we do. How many people know what the Department of Social Services, the services we provide? A little bit? So we provide, we help people with economic assistance, so your traditional welfare programs, food stamps, temporary cash assistance, as well as medical assistance. One of the new initiatives in the state is for able-bodied adults between the ages of 18 and 50 who are not parents of children. We are now connecting them with work opportunities. So if you know anyone between the ages of 18 and 50 who are receiving food stamps and they received a letter from us from the Department of Social Services, we ask that you remind them to please come to our office. It's right at 7500 Ritchie Highway, to be screened and to be connected to a work opportunity so that we can help them get into a job that of at least 80 hours a month. And so one of the efforts that we do is really connect people who are part of our economic assistance with jobs, working with workforce development. We're real happy about that. We also provide utility assistance and eviction prevention services for anyone in the community. And we are the Child Welfare Department, so we handle all allegations of abuse and neglect for children. We also handle all allegations of abuse and neglect for adults. We work with the whole continuum from ages 0 through the entire lifespan. So if any concerns around abuse and neglect, you can contact our local Department of Social Services. We're always looking for foster parents. In Anne Arundel County, we have 148 children in foster care. And so if you're interested in being a foster parent, please see me or my staff will be over there. And I see somebody thinking about being a foster parent. It's a great experience, and if you want to know more, come see me. We also provide supportive services, including parenting classes. We actually have a 8-week parenting class happening now at Ritchie Highway, open to the public. And we connect fathers who are behind in their child support, have arrearages in child support, with jobs. We help to get them working and to get current in their child support and more involved in the lives of their children. So that's another program that we provide. And we also provide support to families through our programs like holiday sharing. Have anyone heard about the back to school program? The back to school program is ours. And then what I was asked to talk about a little bit tonight is around the homeless services that we provide in the county. We participate in the Coalition to End Homelessness. And here in Anne Arundel County, we've been fortunate to have an active, engaged coalition, which consists of 50 county and city agencies, or Annapolis agencies, and concerned citizens, nonprofit homeless service providers, and others with an interest to end homeless here in our county. Some of the services we provide to help the homeless become more self-sufficient is outreach. We have a homeless outreach coordinator who partners with the coalition. They visit homeless camps in the county on a regular basis, as well as help to connect them and make referrals to transitional housing, emergency shelters, which includes Sarah's House, as well as the Winter Relief Program. Last year, we had 161 referrals to those programs. So if you want more information about the services that we provide, I have my staff here, if they'll raise their hands. They're excited. They can make a little noise if they like. We'll be here tonight to answer any questions that you have. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Sheriff Ron Bateman.
Thank you very much, and I think I'm closing it up tonight, Mr. County Executive, and I appreciate you having me here. It really means a lot. You know, this is the County Executive's cabinet, and the County Executive has included me as part of his team, as a public safety team, and I really appreciate that. It's one of the first times that I know in my 37 years in county government and law enforcement that this has ever happened, and it's because of that man, and it's a good thing for all of us. So give him a round of applause. So it's great to be back home because I spent 23 years in that blue uniform. The last 3.5 years were your captain in Northern District at 929 Hammonds Lane, or 939 Hammonds Lane. I still remember it, right, Bill? It's great to see a lot of my old friends here. I stand up here as almost a proud dad to see a lot of my officers that were very young when I came up here in 2000 that are now seasoned veteran officers. They're leaders of the community, and it's really neat to see, for me, to see them have grown in their profession. I will echo something that the chief said about Northern District, and I hold you guys near and dear to my heart because not only did I grow up here, but having worked up here as a captain, I can tell you as the captain of Northern District, if I needed something in the community, you guys were there because you cared about your neighbors, you cared about yourself, you cared about your community. And if there was someone out there that was breaking the law and you knew about it, you were on the phone. Period. You didn't turn your head, you didn't turn the other way, you didn't, not pick up the phone, you picked up the phone, you called the Northern District, you talked to your local police officer, and that meant a lot. And you did a lot to curb the violence and keep crime down in Northern District. And I'm telling you what, all of us who are captains or former captains up here know and appreciate what you've done as a community. So let's talk about partnership. So one of the big deals that my agency does is serve all the arrest warrants in Anne Arundel County, okay? And that's for a reason. It's something that was a deal that was struck back in the 90s under former sheriffs that would give the men and women in blue, when you call 911, give them the opportunity to respond to your call for service that much faster. That way they're not out stuck in a commissioner's office or chasing somebody through the woods or knocking on somebody's door or having a team of 3 or 4 people surrounding a house. So when you call 911, they'd have to break away. So now when you call 911, they're to you that much faster because of this agreement, because of this partnership that we've established. So my guys and gals are out there every single day working in northern, eastern, western, southern, locking up the bad guys. Bad guys that your officers in blue have got warrants for because they've done investigations and found they've committed crimes and got warrants for them. Warrants that come out of the courts all come to us. From murder, rape, robbery, to a stolen bicycle. We do them all. And the partnership we do, because of the marriage that we have from my existence in the police department and now as your sheriff for the last decade, I command my deputies to work hand in hand with the men and women in blue. So when we hit the beach, everybody knows, the left hand knows what the right hand's doing at all times. And it's a great partnership. I have over here, standing over here, is one of my sergeants that just came off of a warrant team, who's done an outstanding job, and it's Sergeant Brian Andre. Good round of applause for Brian, please. Dedication like you would not believe. Just like your men and women in blue, my men and women in brown are dedicated to doing their job and serving you. So we'll be here, we'll describe, we'll answer any of your questions you have for you, and I'll end on this. The partnership extends beyond just locking up the bad guys. When we had the riots in the city, and Chief Altamari activated his troops to go up to the city, specialized men and women who were trained with specialized weapons to go up to the city. What did he do? He picked up the phone, he called me. How many people can you give me, Ron, for northern, eastern, western, southern? like that. I told them how many, and we have people deployed in all 4 districts doing the job that you count on men and women in blue to do. We were doing that because we're all police and we're all here to serve you. So I'm proud to be still part of law enforcement after all these years. I'm proud to serve you. So thank you very much. So I'm not the last kid. So a really good guy. I've known his dad, knew his dad. His dad and my dad have both passed away, but a great guy, Jack Aftung, who I have a great deal of respect for. His son, Kevin Aftung, who's in charge of Emergency Operations Center. Kevin?
Good evening. I didn't really prepare a speech. I actually just kind of learned recently that I was going to be speaking, but I am also brand new. I've only been on the job for about 10 weeks. So I want to introduce myself. I am Kevin Aftung. I'm in charge of emergency management for this county. And I can tell you I have never been so honored in my life to work with such a professional staff as I've come to work with in this county. All the department heads have been very welcoming to me and have been very helpful in getting me to get my feet on the ground and get started here. The county executive has made a concentrated effort towards improving emergency management in the county, and we're very fortunate to have his dedication to that. Emergency management, what do? I'm around if there's a storm. I'm around if there's a snowstorm. I'm around all natural disasters. I'm around for if there's a hazardous materials incident where we need to assist people. Emergency management helps with that. We have a lot of varied duties, and we're kind of like a thread that's interwoven in all the different departments of the county. We touch almost every department with some piece of what we do. Preparedness is our big mantra. We are doing a preparedness fair at the Marley Station Mall on September 10th, and I would invite you all to come out and attend that day. We're planning another large fair like we had last year. And my only closing comments to you is thank you for listening to me tonight, and to let you know that one of the most important things you can do as a citizen of this county is prepare yourself. And what do I mean by that? Everybody in this room should have a go kit. What's a go kit? It's a little kit made up with your medicines, some extra food, some water, some stuff for your children, some stuff for your pets. You should be prepared to stay in your house without plumbing or electricity for at least 5 days if we have an emergency. That's a lot, but you should be prepared for that. It's very important that you have everything you need. During the snowstorm that we had in January, I had only been on the job 2 weeks, and we actually ramped up and we got it done and we made it through the storm. But one of the things that we had was a lot of calls from folks during the storm about, hey, I didn't get out and get milk, bread, and toilet paper, what do I do? Okay, and we try to accommodate every one of those phone calls as best we can. That's the old Baltimore thing. Everybody knows about the milk, bread, and toilet paper. I grew up right near here myself, so I'm very familiar with that term. But the point is, when you know something like that's coming and we make the announcement that, hey, you better be prepared for this, please take that seriously and prepare yourselves for a long event. I mean, we're pretty much through the winter now, and except for the fact that there may be something cold and wet fall from the sky on Sunday. But after that, we're going to start ramping up for spring thunderstorms and then for the hurricane season. And the hurricane season, there's always that possibility. If you look at what happened in New Jersey and New York, that could have easily been us had that storm turned 80 miles before it did. So the important thing is we need to be prepared for anything like that. So again, our table's over here in the corner on your left. We do have some preparedness information we can share. And again, thank you very much for giving me a few minutes to speak.
So basically, I have the easiest job in the world because I have got such a great team. Let's give them a round of applause. I'll tell you what, I couldn't be more fortunate. I think a lot about government because I guess that's what I'm doing these days. And the federal government, they deal with issues that are very remote. National defense, things like that, far, far away. Even the state government deals with very abstract statewide issues that don't hit people right at their front door. But as you heard tonight, everything we do comes right up to the curb or maybe even right to your front door. This is the level of government that's closest to the citizenry. That's why I love it so much. Our public safety departments and offices, police, fire, emergency management, the sheriff's office, they work every day to keep you and your families and your properties safe. Our various land use departments, inspections and permits, planning and zoning, Recreation and Parks, which operates programs for tens of thousands of children all over the county, and Department of Public Works, the roads, the environment, all of those physical land use issues. That's where it all happens. And then finally, our departments of human services like aging, which helps people deal with the challenges of aging and helps keep them in their homes. And our Department of Social Services, which helps people who are down on their luck or in need of medical assistance, all the basic needs of life. So we're there for whatever you guys need. The game plan now for the remainder of the evening is for all these folks to return to their desks and join their staffs. They're going to be available to you for the remainder of the evening, so go from table to table, share your thoughts, concerns, questions, and they'll be happy to answer. So at this point, let's go to our respective corners. Thank you.